Welcome to episode 15 of the Racket House podcast, where we discuss all things music and success in our fun corner of the world, helping to inspire, inform, educate, motivate, and keep hope alive for musicians, creatives, entrepreneurs, and anyone else who wants to grow their brand in the music or creative spaces. My guest today is an artist whose music fans describe as therapeutic. Blending hip-hop, R&B, pop, and folk, Benny Freestyles creates dreamy, uplifting songs, with messages of freedom, truth, and love. He not only performs the vocals for his tracks, but he also produces and mixes them as well. He started freestyle rapping with friends as a teenager and never stopped. Since then, Benny has dropped 9 albums, 32 singles, and over 40 music videos. He's toured nationally with Mod Sun and Henry AZ, and he's built a loyal global fan base. Now he's gearing up to release his 10th solo project, Into the Wild, a hip-hop forward, spiritually charged album produced entirely by Big Jerm, the Big Jerm, best known for his work with Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa. Benny is a wealth of knowledge and experience in the music space. I can't wait to go deep with him. Without further ado, this is Benny Freestyles. Welcome, Benny.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the kind words.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm so excited for this. I've been excited for this for weeks. I mean, for those who don't know, which is pretty much everybody, we tried this a couple weeks ago, had some extreme technical difficulties. So we're back after a bit of a hiatus. Benny actually just had this insane trip that I want to hear more about, out to Iceland, one of the favorite places I've been in the world. Why were you there, Benny? What was going on in Iceland? Tell us about that.
We went back to Iceland. It's my second time there. One of my best friends and camera guy who does all my media work, Sam. We took a trip out there to shoot some reels, shoot a music video for this new project, and shoot an album cover. So we covered a lot of ground, got a lot of stuff done. It's pretty cool too. Last second, me and Sam do a lot of trips just to, shoot videos and stuff. We travel the world, shoot music videos. And this time, like 3 days before we were leaving, my brother hit me up and he was like, "Oh, you and Sam didn't need a driver for Iceland?" And I was just like, haha, we could have used one. And then next thing you know, he's like, "I got my ticket, I'm coming." So it's pretty cool. Having my brother out there with us changed the dynamic a little bit and definitely added something fun to the trip.
Hell yeah. So your brother, so it's you, your brother, and your photo videographer, Sam, right?
Yes.
And so I know, like, so you do these trips pretty often, right? That's part of your whole thing, right? That we talk about is
Yep.
seeing the world and traveling and spirituality incorporated into the music. This particular trip was, like you said, a kind of like a business trip, if you will, right? Like, this was specifically to go capture content, beautiful places for your new upcoming album, Into the Wild, right?
Yes, correct.
And so when you go on these types of trips, do you go in with like a clear vision of a clear plan, or is it kind of like, let's get boots on the ground first, kind of scout it out? I mean, you've been to Iceland before, so you have that advantage, but like, how does that whole like planning process look? Like, what does that look like?
So we definitely get like an idea of like, we pick the songs we want to shoot for sure. And we start to dive into a little bit of what that's going to feel like. We watch a lot of like reference videos of like the countries we're going to just to like see the landscapes and get an idea of like, is this going to be a video that we shoot a lot of wide shots? So is it like dramatic landscape? Are we going to be focused on like one specific thing the whole time? We definitely get up a lot and like talk it out. We write down sets of shot lists, like specific things that we know we want to get when we're there, but everything changes and you got to adapt in the moment no matter what. You get lucky with certain things, unlucky with certain things. It was light out pretty much 24 hours a day when we were there, which was insane. It was disorienting, but it was awesome because we got so much time to film. We covered so much ground and got so much footage. Went to bed at like 4 a.m, 3 nights in a row. And pretty much died when I got home, but it was awesome for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so your brother, is he often a part of like your creative endeavors? Like, what does he have a role in the whole project?
First time I traveled with him, even, um, he just like hit us up on a whim, and he had his uncle had told him that it's a really dope spot. And he heard we were going like literally 3 days before I was leaving, and just hit us up and came, and just kind of like a spontaneous move. But yeah, it was cool because me and Sam, this is my best friend forever. We've been doing this for a long time. We just end up like arguing about shots and like, that whole thing. Like we're just out there trying to make it as good as possible. And that leads to a lot of like headbutting.
Sure.
Anybody in the creative space, if you don't got some kind of person that you're going back and forth with, chances are it's not as good as it can be. So Jesse broke that up a little bit. My brother broke that up a little bit. And yeah, we got a great video on our hands. So super excited.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that was like one of the first things I remember from like the business classes I took back in the day was like the ideal scenario is 3 people on a team because you have that tiebreaker. You have somebody to kind of like mediate if necessary. But I totally feel you on that. Like the longer you're friends with somebody, the more likely you're like, getting a little tiffs, but they don't matter as much because like you're homies for life, like nothing's
brother,
gonna change that. How did you guys land on Iceland?
Iceland is just like, it's a place that has like such dramatic landscapes, and it's pretty accessible. You don't have to go too crazy. You're not traveling across the world. It's like a 5-hour flight less, and it's direct flight from Boston, which is also amazing. And we just knew that it's somewhere we could get easy enough and get like unbelievable stuff. We have shot those videos at places all across the world that take like days to get to. And it was just a spot that we've been to and we knew we didn't take full advantage of. So we kind of hit a whole bunch of spots we never hit. We were laughing, being like, what did we even do that first video? Because we felt like we just crushed it so hard. It's going to make the other videos seem terrible. But it's also
that's just leveling up, right? Yeah, it's really funny. Like from the East Coast, especially the Northeast to Iceland, I know they like added so many direct flights. It's like easier than going to California, honestly, for you, right? Like, and a little bit more beautiful. Waterfalls everywhere, greenery, yeah, and yeah, it's incredible. Can you like preview? I mean, it's obviously like going to be more, something more impactful when we get to see and hear. But any previews you can give us around like some of the shots you got, or any stories from the trenches? You're up till 4 a.m. There's got to be some funny stuff happening, right?
It was good. The main theme of the trip was stuff just like kept working out for us. Like the weather had said it was going to rain a whole bunch, and we were getting worried that we weren't going to have like the light that we wanted for specific shots. There was this one place that it's known for its reflection. You got to hit it just at the right time at low tide. The sun's got to be at the right spot in the sky, and the whole mountain reflects back on you. So we started heading out to that spot when it was already like midnight, and we got there right when low tide was lining up, and it ended up taking us like 4 hours to drive home from the spot. We got home at like 4 a.m, but when we got to that spot, it was just right, and we're so glad that we pushed through to do it. Yeah, things kept working out. Like the rainiest day ended up being the sunniest day. We got like 2 blue sky days out of it. The place is wild. We were driving through storms the whole time and rainbows everywhere, giant waterfalls. It's like the edge of the earth feeling. There's like not a lot of buildings, not a lot of stuff at all. It's just like this one main city, and besides that, you're just out in the middle of nowhere with raw nature, which is my favorite, and essentially what this music's about too, is kind of getting back to the roots, the pureness, into the wild. I'm using it as like a term for getting back to that place before all this craziness and noise that goes on in the world. So definitely getting out into that raw nature to shoot videos for this album makes the most sense. It's what we do anyways with my content, is we shoot nature stuff because it relates with my music, but this time it's way more direct. I actually made an album about nature in a sense, so it's gonna be
it's
really
incredible. I mean, the one time I went to Iceland was like the opposite of when you were there. It was like 6 hours of daylight. It was November, late November, so like winter. I remember when we rounded like we drove around the entire island, and when we went to the northern part, it felt like the Arctic tundra. We were in the middle. It was crazy. It's a crazy landscape. But
definitely.
getting back to like the meaning behind the music, how you came to this place. What I love about you, what I love about your music, what I love about you as a person, and just getting to know you over the last several months is your connection to nature and the world, and trying not to be a cog in a wheel, like everyone else. I mean, when did you discover that love and passion for the outdoors and what this world has to offer?
Yeah, it started like right after high school, like as far as like world travel goes. A lot of my early trips were with my older sister and one of my best friends, Emily. She's 4 years older than me, and we traveled the world together. Right after I graduated high school, I lived in Costa Rica. We lived in New Zealand for 8 months. We were in Nepal for a long trip. So it's just, yeah, all these trips and kind of just getting a different perspective on the world is what shaped that mentality. Talks with strangers, talks with my sister, and just, yeah, experiencing different cultures and realizing that there's a whole world out there besides the little bubble that you grow up in. Um, and yeah, I'd say it was that trip to Nepal that really kind of turned a new leaf in mindset and just overall feeling towards everything. I'm just generally speaking, not just music. But when I came back from that trip, I felt like it was beyond inspired. I had so much to talk about and write about, and I'm still doing it to this day. And that was like 10 plus years ago. So
Yeah, I would actually echo that. Having been in Nepal, it was probably one of the most special experiences I've had. There's plenty of places in the world I haven't been, but this is one of those things that the people, the culture, the scenery, all of those things like really added up into a really special and unique experience. And I think like those types of trips really do change our perspective in our world, and connecting back to those things and like making sure that we're always, getting there. Like even something as simple as like taking a day to go into the woods, into a, do a hike or do something like that. Like I think changes the way we think about things, and we realize that like the stuff we worry about day to day, like,
yeah,
doesn't really matter,
absolutely.
right?
We need
Yeah.
that reset to remind us that the deeper feeling of that is, I love that people bring it back to like we're literally just like on a rock floating through space, and it's like you get so caught up in your everyday life, but nature does that. It brings you back to that feeling of, take a deep breath and, you're going to be all right. Like
Yeah. It's
we're really,
funny. I did that exact thing on Monday. My girlfriend and I took a trip. We needed some nature time. We drove an hour. Like, I'm grateful to live here in Colorado, an hour from the mountains. And towards the end of our hike, I grabbed her, hugged her. I had her breathe with me, and take a few moments of gratitude and remind ourselves that like everything's good,
love that.
and to be grateful for all that we have in our life and all of our surroundings. And I think that's what really like makes me and your fans, I think, gravitate towards your music, because that is your constant theme, right? That is the brand you're building, but it's not forced, right? It's a genuine passion, because it's not
Absolutely.
just the music for you. So you're, in your, you said your teen years, high school years, right? Like when you're starting to take these international trips, you're getting a unique perspective that some people may never have in their entire lives, right? Like I've met people still to this day who haven't left the country, and so it's really unique. And so that started shaping things for you. And then where did the music part come in? We start with the present, right, with your Iceland trip, then we go back and talk about where it all started, right? So where did Benny Freestyles, when was he born? Like how did that come about? Tell us those early day stories.
2009, 10, 11 was freestyle rap in the car with my friends. We used to listen to a lot of like just straight hip hop back then, all rap, all the classics. Like I was saying before, I feel it's like a whole different person back then. It feels like a whole other world to me, but because I started listening to so much different music and being inspired by all different stuff. But in that set time, it was just rap. We'd get in the car, we'd smoke out, fishbowl. There'd be instrumentals playing, and people would just rap. And it got to a point where I was like one of the only people rapping, and it just kind of grew on itself, like snowballed, and I never really stopped. But it got to a point where I was like, damn, I feel like I'm like confident that I could like do something with this because yeah, you know, it's a skill, something that you practice over time and just gets better and better. It's like anything else. So when I got to that point, that was like 2012, and we had a like we had a friend. I had a friend that was involved in every part of what's going on, which is the coolest thing ever. One of my favorite parts of the whole story. My best friends Sam, Blake, and Tommy, all a part of this to this day. Audio engineers, like a manager type, a videographer, photographer, media, everything, all covered with my best friends. So yeah, 2012, the freestyle raps. We did one. We made a full video. We took the audio, recorded off an iPhone of an actual freestyle rap, and had it mixed down. And we put out like a 4-minute freestyle called the Ready Freestyle. It was the first thing we ever put out. And yeah, that was the birth of Benny Freestyles right there with that first YouTube video. That we were kind of all addicted to, you know, seeing what we could do, just creating in general.
And that's it. And then Benny was born from that day. And so I also love that piece of your story is it was born organically, right? Like it was just literally friends hanging out, you know, playing music, rapping, doing your thing. But to this, you know, that was almost 15 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your circle is that same circle today, and you still have those people helping you progress as an artist, helping you with the different facets of being an independent artist in 2025, which is obviously more than just the music, right? So that is something that you don't hear about every day, right? It's either people doing it on their own or they got these new people in their lives, but these are people you have a deep, deep bond with, and we're able to help kind of jumpstart this project of yours.
I feel like it makes for really special art, because you know I've had opportunities to like do different things. I feel like you know, you could have like the best business idea in the world, but it's the personal relationships that are gonna make or break that idea. I stand by that. So having all my closest people around me is super important.
Absolutely. So that was early days. You kind of realized you had this gift for rhyming and rapping. I'm gonna put you on the spot at some point in this conversation to hear some of that. But and then how did things progress from there? Like when did this become like a full-time focus for you? When did things like go from like we're in the car to like we're actually in the studio or we're on the stage, or you know, talk to us about that progression.
So we dropped that first video 2012. For the next like year to 2 years, we just kept on it, really consistent on YouTube, dropping new videos. At that time, I was working with a producer. So the first project I ever put out was called Benny and the Jetta, and that was based off being in the car rapping.
I love it.
So Benny and the Jetta dropped, and that really stirred up like a buzz in my hometown. We shot a whole bunch of videos for that. I did my first show ever with a full band at our like local spot. We sold out like 400 tickets before 11 o'clock.
Damn.
It was pretty unheard of for what we were doing. And that gave like everybody on the team a sense of like, yo, this is something really cool. This is,
Yeah.
you know, it made it special. From there, we started my basement studio, became a space that we got on right in Main Street in our town that we were all going to and working at.
And this is Narragansett, Rhode Island, correct?
Wakefield, Rhode Island, really close.
Wakefield, Rhode Island.
5 minutes
Shout out Wakefield.
5 minutes from the beach.
Okay.
And then from there, we got in touch with, so Benny and the Jetta dropped. The next album is called Different Kind of High. That's a producer, my best friend Tommy, who's a sound engineer. He got in contact with a guy on YouTube so we just put on beats on YouTube and rap. And I kept going to these beats by this guy, Thomas Prime. And Tommy's like, hey, you love this guy's beats. I'm just going to like email him. But I was always like rhyming on these YouTube beats from this guy, Thomas Prime. Tommy hits him up and is like, hey, my buddy's always rapping on your beats. We send him some stuff. Next thing you know, we're like on FaceTimes with this guy talking it out, and we're going to make an album with him. And he sends me, you know, tons of music. And this guy's amazingly talented. His name's Thomas Prime. He's a producer.
Shout out Thomas Prime.
Producer in London. And so we made a project called Different Kind of High. was my next project, and that is essentially the same music that I'm making today, in the sense of like that message that stuck, and that I, my passion is. Different kind of high is just that, it's not about getting high off weed, it's about getting high off life. It's about those trips and that feeling you get from that, what happens in those moments. That's the different kind of high. So made that album. The next album was with a local producer that came across me, found Benny the Jetta, friend of a friend. I ended up working with this dude, Caleb Cassidy, super talented producer. And on that first project I made with him, we had a friend of a friend had a connection to Mod Sun. It was like a bigger touring act, and we made the connection there. And it was someone who had produced for Mod Sun. So we hit him up and sent him some music and say, hey, could you get Mod in touch with Benny? They have like a similar message. Not a lot of people making positive music at this time or in general. And so it's someone that made sense to collab with. The next thing you know, Mod's in Wakefield, Rhode Island. We're shooting a music video to our single, and we're talking about doing shows. So 2012 was the first thing we ever put out. 2015, I go on tour with Mod Sun. And that was like a 25 city national tour. It's called the Pink Lemonade Tour. That was like, when you're saying, when did it start to be real? That was a moment that was like, all right, we're really fucking out here, meeting people, gaining fans, spreading this message. It was, it's great.
It's pretty wild, because if you think about the trajectory of most artists in a traditional sense, like, they're not going on a 25 city national tour or the headlining act, like, right off the bat, right? Like you did a local show, you started making music, you had, your local thing, but to get brought into that real quick, real fast, I mean, that's insane, right? That's
absolutely.
I think it's a testament. I mean, you can tell me, but I think it's a testament to a few things, right? It's the quality of your work, the uniqueness of your message, the team around you who is just like, fuck it, let's shoot our shot, right? Which is really important, not just in music, but in life. And then, creating this bond with somebody, a little bit of right place, right time when he was in your hometown. But can you speak to any of that, or is there anything else you think that was responsible for that magic there?
Yeah, I think just like self-belief more than anything, and also the people around you believing, just that feeling, it's contagious. And the music business, the music industry, it's a crazy place.
Yeah.
And to keep that, it's almost a little bit delusional at times.
Have to be.
I hear people talk about that, how you have to be, and that's funny because I always felt like that a little bit, but I pride myself in that too.
Yeah.
I'm a real deal dream chaser. I've been doing this. It's the things I'm passionate about, I put first, no matter what. Some of the stuff I learned on these trips that keep me in this mind state. But yeah, so he came to Rhode Island for us to shoot this song. I have 3 tracks with Mod Sun now, and I ended up doing another national tour with him, which was even bigger, like maybe 4 years later or something like that. But yeah, still in touch with Mod to this day. And yeah, those types of opportunities, when that first came up, that was like one of those moments where we were all like, we're doing something now.
We're doing it. So then how do you ride that wave, right? Like, I think one of the biggest challenges in music is like, when something hits or something big happens for you, how do you keep the momentum going, right? So what was I know we're looking back in time almost 10 years ago maybe, but do you remember your mindset at that point? Were you more motivated than ever? Were you like, we got to keep this train rolling? Like, what did opportunities come your way because of that stuff? Like, how did that look at that time?
Yeah. So like, I basically, before all that, or coming into all that, I definitely had a naive view of what the music industry was and the amount of work it actually takes, and what it really is. But it's just been a learning experience, the whole thing. At one point, yeah, we kept moving forward from that point. It's still to this day, it all snowballs. We had Mod Sun's lawyer, like after that second tour, we had built a good relationship with him. And he had just one day, he calls us up. He's like, got a meeting with you for the vice president A&R Sony Records. You got to be there. He's like, I was like, what? Like,
that's
that
a big
was
deal.
pretty, another, like one of those moments, like a big jump. there's certain things that stand out through time. That was definitely one of them. So
Yeah.
ended up building a relationship with him. And he was awesome because, he wasn't like going to sign us because he signs like giant stadium acts.
Sure.
But that was one of those, there's all of these little moments that happen through my life that always kind of like let me know I'm doing the right thing. And this was one of them. When we first walked into his office, he had two signed albums hanging on his office wall. And they were the two groups that I was listening to at the time, like religiously. And I had no idea. It was bizarre. Like I walked in, I saw it was Passion Pit and Of Monsters and Men. And it's just like, music I had on repeat at that time. And I walked in and I looked at him and I was like, oh, those are like my two favorite groups right now. I was like, that's bizarre. And like chills. Another one of these types of crazy moments actually happened to me recently. I'll tell you about it. But yeah, so having that meeting in there and talking to him, and it was something continued. We'd see him like once a month and we kind of just talk strategy and ideas and what works. And I had someone that was in the room with him one time that told me that like, it's pretty much impossible to get through it all with positive music. And that was just so insane to me. I was like, that kind of just made me want to try even harder. It's like, all right, that's like where we're at in the world.
That's a negative way to talk about something positive, right? It's like, what the hell?
But yeah, that was just like more fuel. And yeah, that was another, just one of those moments,
So you kind of built, you were able to build this professional relationship with, somebody high up in the music business, somebody that that was very influential and almost like a mentor to you, right?
Absolutely. And definitely gave us like a different, like I was saying before, I was naive. That was like a turning point where I was like, oh, this is kind of what it looks like.
Were there any, like, so you went from naive to like, a bit more of a understanding of how things work. Was there anything specific you remember taking away from that, specifically a couple things that really flipped the switch?
So he pretty much like all those labels, those bigger guys, they just do everything on metrics. And there's a J. Cole quote where he says like, I thought all I had to do was make the best song, just make the best song. And he's like, but then I made the best song and it didn't fucking matter. He's like, still got to get people to hear it.
Yeah.
And so I guess I had that feeling like I just have to perfect this art and get this art at such a like high level of whatever that is in the subjective world. And being up there and talking to him and knowing that it was based on metrics and what really took to sign people and the amount of money behind the scenes, and the amount of connections and how small the music industry actually is too.
Right.
Literally like a handful of people that can make all this shit happen. Yeah, that was kind of just like it was humbling and kind of, it was exciting to be up there talking to someone like that. But at the same time, I was like, it was like, pushed me back a little bit in my mind. About
because I guess what was the mindset like at that point? Because you went from, well, I'll ask you. I mean, was like making a career out of music? It's obviously a priority and a preference, and it's your thing, right? It's your main focus. But like, when did you go from backseat of a Benny the Jetta, rapping in the car, to like, this is my livelihood? Like, I was put on this planet to do this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just like kind of with anything. If I'm gonna like do something, I'm gonna really fucking do it. I'm not gonna. It's like I really don't half-ass anything. And when it came to music, it was such a hard thing, and I kind of love that about it. I like that feeling of like ambition, and I don't know. I've just always been like driven for different things, but when it came to music, it was like, whoa, this is something that like, you're not just gonna get this overnight.
Yeah, and it was more than just like a hobby for you. It was like, I want to like do you remember any of the goals you had at the time? Like, you want to be on this stage or do this thing?
It was just like all like more. It wasn't like that in the moments. It kind of just grew over time. But yeah, it was just like a friend group, and we were like, at one point, my boy Blake's like, "Yo, we got to make a team like around this."
Right.
Early days, it was called the League. AOE. It stood for an original endeavor, and that was just the crew. Tommy, me, Sam, Blake. It was a bigger crew, a lot of people. you know, and times changed a lot as far as like being around all the people. Like you grow apart from certain people, and you know, it was like right after high school when we started doing all this stuff, and there was just like everyone was like around, and
Yep.
but so yeah, we kind of just were just like in the moment of it, and not exactly like setting goals necessarily. We just knew we were killing it, and kind of just kept killing it. As far as like we're like, yeah, we did this home show. It's like, what do we want to do next? It's like, oh, I can connect with Modson. I was like, all right, let's go on tour with them. So we did that, and yeah, it's just growing on itself. Never really. It took a long time before I was like, you know, focused on like setting specific goals and actually getting into like the business side of what all this is.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, I was way more just in the mindset of like hey, I'm a rapper. This is what I do. I'm like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? It's a whole different world now.
So talk to us about that, right? So how have things changed for you over the years? How, not only with like what you do day to day, but how you think about things, right? Like,
Well, I knew that I got to a certain point with it where I knew that like we were going to need money to be able to actually push stuff forward and keep eyes on it and do like real marketing. And so when I got to that point, um, I would always like, no matter what I was doing at the time for money, whether it was like I was at the bar at one point, I was painting houses, I grew weed for a long time and sold weed. Um, that was always money that I was putting into my music. And I kind of believed that like I needed to keep investing in myself to get it into the point where someone's going to invest in me. So I think a lot of people get like scared about like the money stuff, but it's like you don't have to be like, you don't have to find someone that's like a crazy investor. You like right off rip, you need to just like work to get yourself to a point where someone could see the value. So um, I got to that point to be able to get people that put money into my music, money into my marketing, all that stuff that makes it so I can keep doing what I'm doing. If I never got to that point, you know, this probably would have ended a while ago as far as pushing it. But I'm so passionate about music and I have so much to say still that I'll be making music no matter what. But I think that also goes into why I do have investors and why I got it to the point that I'm at now.
what do you have to say, Benny? Tell us what else is left.
I got a lot to say. I don't know.
No, we'll hear that in the new albums, right? New albums,
Yeah.
new projects. That's the cliffhanger for you.
Absolutely.
A couple of things that I find interesting about you among the very long list is two things. One, you produce your own music, and it's not just rapping, it's singing as well. And for most of your music, you're also doing the mix downs, right? A lot of the engineering stuff.
Yeah.
When did that come into the fold? Why? How? I personally believe that's what makes you unique because not every vocalist out there is making their own music as well. Talk to us about the process there.
So production, as I said before, I was working with someone like a local person. I watched them produce for like maybe 2 years, and just being in the room with someone that's doing it, if you pay enough attention, you're going to pick up on things. So I pretty much watching that and just being self-taught dialed myself into production. I realized I had like so much more control over a song when I was really starting to produce the track, and I loved that feeling and like really fell in love with that. And then as far as mixing, it's the same thing. Tommy mixed countless of my albums. We still mix and work together. He got me to a point where I felt comfortable doing the mixes. He's an incredible engineer. So yeah, I got comfortable producing watching someone, comfortable mixing watching someone, and then just, you know, that 10,000 hours, like I'm in the studio constantly. It's honestly like all I do. I love being in the studio. I love creating. And so, yeah, the more I got to it, the more production, the more mixing, the farther along my music got. And I'm super proud of my last two projects, Sunshine Market and Meadows are both like, you know, top projects for me. And then switched it up a bit. And this next album I'm dropping, I didn't produce anything, which is kind of cool because I've been producing on my last like 6-7 projects. So yeah, switched it up in that sense. I did mixed a couple of the tracks on this new one, and Jerm mixed a couple of the tracks too.
Hell yeah. Well, first of all, shout out Sunshine Market because it's on this hat and it's right behind you. And
Yes.
again, like this just plays into like your brand and your message and all that. Like even on the side there, you got photos of you in the wild, you know, in really cool places in the world. And I just think like, I don't know, for me, it's just like the simplest things, but like Sunshine Market, you're showing an image of a or like a shopping cart with flowers. Like to me, that's just like it makes so much sense. But you know, putting that idea down and making it bloom, you know, pun intended, I guess, is really unique and cool. And so, just want to shout those things out about you, which I believe all ties into what makes you special and unique.
Thank you.
And you know, from going from producing your own work, you know, doing, I'd say what, 80% of the project yourself, maybe 90, right? Minus the master. And then, you know, having someone like Big Jerm, who for those who don't know, is a legendary producer, kind of take the reins. How did it feel like relinquishing control over that part of the process? Like, obviously this is a guy that, you know, you can probably trust maybe more than some other producers, but like, did it feel like you were lifting a weight off your back by having him control the production, or was it scary kind of letting him take over? How did that all feel?
It was interesting transition just because I was making such different music than he produces.
Mm-hmm.
But an opportunity came up to work with him, and that's not something I'm going to pass down. I grew up listening to this man's music, super talented. And so, yeah, it threw me back into a way more like hip hop focused, concentrated type music,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, I love to rap, but rap can get boring to me too. So I love melody. I love really creating and producing a project all the way through. So yeah, I was like, it didn't matter though, because I was so inspired by the fact that I was going to make a project with Big Jerm. Like the younger me would have been blown away by that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of made up for the fact that it wasn't the music that I'd been making for the past couple projects. And I got into a zone, and I went out to Pittsburgh, and the crew came out to Pittsburgh. The whole team went out there. We shot footage in the studio. I think I went out there maybe like the first time was on tour. I just chopped it up with them. We talked for like 2 hours, super down to earth. Just kind of started to build a relationship organically. And then I flew out there maybe 3 or 4 times to work on the album. And then this last time he came to my home studio in Rhode Island, and we finished the project there. But yeah, big transition as far as the kind of music it is. Way louder drums, heavier hitting snares, bigger bass, all that stuff. But I got people that I know are going to love this from me, and this is the music that they want from me. So it feels good knowing that too.
Yeah. So that was going to be my next question, is how you got connected and how this all came to be. I mean, big name producers like that, like either you got to throw a ton of money at them or you got to have a relationship. And this kind of continues to prove my point around like network and connections are like one of the most crucial parts of this business. But you met him on tour with Modson. Was that right?
No, this was the first time I saw him was on a tour what I did with Henry AZ.
Oh, Henry. Okay.
I went on. So he followed me like out of nowhere on Instagram. And I hit him up and I was like, Big Jerm, exclamation point. I've been listening to your music, you know.
You did the fanboy thing.
Yeah, I've been listening to your music for the past years. The world needs a Benny Jerm track. And he was like, I'm down.
Yeah.
I was in the studio at the time when this was going on, and I just like showed my phone to Tommy, and he was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "This should be. Let's see how this plays out." So then I was in Pittsburgh for that tour with Henry AZ, and before the show that day, I showed up to the ID Labs legendary studio and met with Jerm and kind of just talked it out. I think we laid down like one song that day, but we honestly spent like most of the time just talking. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I left that day. I was like, "Yo, we got to make a project together, mix like a short album together." And he was into it. So yeah, that's what birthed that.
Hell yeah. And that's years in the making at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of wild how that comes about, right? Like I think the best creative relationships are the ones where you actually don't go right in the studio right away, right? You start talking as people and get to know each other and feel the vibe out, and then the creative juices get flowing, and you don't have to feel as like, I don't know. I mean, you can speak from experience, I can speak from experience, but like the most fun I have creating with other people is the ones I get along with the most. And we're just like on the
Yeah,
same page and we're laughing, we're having a good time with it. And we're not feeling so rigid with the
absolutely,
process.
100%.
Yeah. Are there any other folks out there, past, present, future, that you're collaborating with, that you want to collaborate with? This is your time, Benny. This is when we're going to really shout out those people and we're going to manifest and send them, then we're going to send them the video too. But, you know, you're like, who's on your list, baby?
I want to do a track with Wiz. It's something I've kind
Shout
of
out
always
Wiz Khalifa.
doing, make that happen. But yeah, no. There's this girl, Adriana Lanker, who I love her music. It's like so opposite of Wiz. Couldn't be more opposite. But I listen to all different types of music and draw inspiration from all different types of music. So yeah, it's just kind of depending on how I'm feeling, what I'm listening to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm the same way too. Is like, I feel like, you know, with the music I make and the performance that I do is kind of like in one lane, but people will be surprised to hear that I was in the Dave Matthews fan club when I was growing up and stuff. And I went to college where Fish started, and, you know, I'm still a little bit of a hippie at heart. But I think like when I was first getting into your music too, and coming to your home studio, you were playing me some stuff. Like you had something that I was like, yo, did Kenny G make this track? Like there was like some sexy like saxophones on there. I mean, I can't even remember all the names of the different types of instruments and samples you use, but like it's not traditional at all. And if you think of like hip hop and R&B, and that's why it's kind of hard, I think, sometimes for you to think about like what lane do you fit in, you know?
Yeah,
Which is a pro and a con of this world we live in, where everybody needs to be categorized and put
yes.
into a genre, right?
So the guy at Sony that I was talking about before said that to me. He's pretty much like, it's tough because you have a unique sound, but if your sound or when your sound breaks through, you'll have like a real loyal, dedicated fan base because people they look for that like new thing and that new sound. And when someone's not just doing what everyone else is doing, I feel like it really hits. I know for me, like first time I heard like a Kid Cudi or Chance the Rapper, like someone with just completely different approach. It's like such a breath of fresh air. And yeah, so like you said, it's got pros and cons to it for sure.
So, but in the moment, like, I mean, can you talk about your creative process at all? I mean, I know it's kind of a feel sometimes one day how you're feeling, but like, how do you decide what sounds to use? How do you decide when you're singing versus rapping? We didn't even touch upon the fact that you like taught yourself how to sing too, right? Like going from just
Singing and melody is big in my music. I got more singing than rapping on my last two projects probably.
mm-hmm,
Um, but it's not necessarily just singing either. It's its own thing.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not like belting out and hitting notes in a traditional sense. Like it's its own thing. It's its
And you're
own
not using auto tune either, thank God.
it's its own little world of music. That's this. It's all everything is its own little world. So
Yeah. What I mean, that like so that part of it, like, how'd that evolution happen? I mean, I know like when I hear a Benny track, like I know it's you, I know it's your voice, and you're right. It's this unique blend of singing, rapping. I don't know what we'll call that. We'll call that something. But
yeah,
like how did that even come up?
yeah. So I think just at a certain point, I just started making music that like I liked to make the most,
Sure.
opposed to what
Important.
I thought people wanted to hear. I was probably in the mode of what I thought people wanted to hear for longer than I wish I was, but I think that's just part of growing and learning as an artist and just learning in life in general about anything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, eventually I got to a point where I just started making stuff that I love without thinking about the audience as much. And
They'll find you.
that's where all my dopest stuff is right now. It's all the music I make. So yeah, my creative process is just I create a lot Even if I don't feel inspired and I don't want to write, I still get in there and I write.
Yep.
I think that's something that sets me apart and allows me to get a lot of good music out, because I'm just constantly making music. Sometimes too, I'll surprise myself and I won't even be like, feel like I'm in a super zone. But a couple of days later, I'll listen to something I did and I'll be like, wow, that's so much better than I thought it was, like at the time, which is a weird thing. And then other times I'll just know, like I'll be in a zone and I'll be like, oh, this is fire from like the beginning till the end, and it is. And then sometimes I'll get in there and I'll create stuff that I just don't like and no one ever hears too.
Yeah. It's important. I mean, the whole concept of like putting in the work. And I know a lot of people who make music who only do it when they're feeling inspired. I suffer from that too. Like I know that to progress my art, I need to be in there every day working on it. And there's just some days I'm like, I don't really feel like it. I don't feel inspired.
Yeah.
And those are when I think you can have the most breakthroughs. And like you, like sometimes I'll listen back to my work and I'm like, how did I even think of that in in that moment, that time? Yeah, I got a whole list of questions here. I'm really interested in like, what are you most proud of to this day?
Probably say, it's tough. It's a more than one thing for that.
Totally. Give us a few.
I'd say my daughter, my family, my wife, just the life that I'm currently living. All like the blessings, all this, just the magic that you can't even explain. Blessed, and I'd say that's one thing. Just also like, I'm really proud of myself for sticking with this music stuff. I'm proud that I stay inspired and that I have this passion burning inside me, because I know that that's not something that just lasts forever or is guaranteed to stay with me. But so I'm super proud and grateful for that, to wake up and be like in the mind state of, oh, I want to create. I got, what I mean? I have more to say. I'm definitely proud of that, because I've been on that wave for a long time, for sure.
Here you go. I was reaching off camera because I have this fortune from a fortune cookie that I saved, and I think is relevant to the right now. And it says, a man can fail many times, but he isn't a failure until he gives up. So that is that is a good one. You do pottery.
Yes.
How the hell did that start?
I got some.
Show us some work.
Let me see. Let me grab a bowl.
It's not every day you meet a professional musician who also does pottery. You know what I mean? Let's go. Bowls for Benny. Benny's bowls. That's sexy. And you do that all from start to finish.
All from start to finish. It's a process.
It's a process.
Let's folks, get the on it.
Damn, that's beautiful. Reminds me of Easter.
The pottery started. My dad's a potter, has a pottery studio. He had been doing it he's done it his whole life, but yeah, just over the past like 2 years, I just got in there and started messing around a little bit, and definitely fell in love with it. And just was kind of just like a natural at it too. So yeah, I feel like if it was something that was like, I didn't like click with right away, it would have never stuck, but because I get frustrated like that, but it clicked. And yeah, I've been doing it for maybe 2+ years.
That's so cool. Have you ever I know you sell pieces on your website. You ever
next level merch?
What's that?
It's kind of like a next level merch, handmade pottery, opposed to just getting like a Gildane t-shirt and throwing a logo on it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I just spent like, countless hours crafting this by my hands. Like, I feel like that's a way doper thing to sell.
Yeah, and it's one of the few pieces of merch I've seen an artist make that could actually break if you drop it. So be careful with that stuff, people, and go buy them too. I think all your merch is really dope and unique too, right? Like you said, you're not just slapping a logo on something. It's carefully crafted. I think everything in your world revolves around art in different ways, and that's super, super cool to me. What are some of your biggest aspirations, right? Like if you could wave a magic wand and you got this huge goal target kind of thing, would it be, I'll let you answer the question, but a stage you want to play on? I know you've already talked about collabs. Like what is like Everest of Benny freestyles look like?
It's tough because I struggle with that because like I've been learning to train myself and let myself be just just super happy with everything I have.
Totally.
And the more you look forward for some big grand thing, the
Mm-hmm.
less the more it takes away from that feeling that I'm talking about.
Let me reframe the question. What would get you really excited if an email came to your inbox or your boy Sam ran up to your door and you're like, "Yo, Benny, I got this thing." Like, what would that thing be like? Holy shit!
Yeah, I mean, we're always working just to like see what the next cool thing we can make happen is. So it's like, yeah, we made a national tour happen. We had a video on MTV. We went viral in Australia. These are all different like accolades along the way. So just another one of those, like just keep adding those on. Oh, we're gonna do this track with blah blah blah, and it's like just the feeling of adding more moments. It feels like step up. It snowballs on itself. Yeah, any of those for sure.
Is there a venue in the world you'd want to be on or play or stage you want to be on?
I don't know. I like an intimate show, honestly. Like even the bigger show, I've performed in front of 2,000 people before. My favorite show I've ever done though is probably in front of like 300 people,
Mm.
maybe even less. It's just a whole different energy. You can really feel like you can really connect with people.
Yeah.
In those spots, opposed to like the bigger it gets, the less you're connected to the feeling that's going on. I feel like
That'd be a cool headline article that's like Benny Freestyles, the artist who only plays 300-person shows by choice.
Some artists do that though, like a big artist will show up and just play like a surprise spot.
Oh yeah,
200 cap room, and it's like the most unbelievable shit ever.
Yeah. And they vibe with that more because it's like potentially 200 people there who are there to see you, you know, instead of if you're on the bill with somebody else, maybe they're not necessarily there to see you, right? So that stuff is more exciting. I love to, you know, take seasoned professionals like yourself and kind of get inside the brain and maybe turn them into mentors or advisors for the younger generation out there. So is there anything in your mind that you can think of that if you were starting from scratch today in 2025, you would make sure to absolutely do, or you definitely wouldn't do, and kind of incorporate that into advice for the younger generation out there?
Some advice as far as all this stuff goes, I'd say don't don't listen to anybody. Listen to if depending on like I don't know, it depends who you are, I guess too. But
Yeah.
I feel like as far as like the creating and all that stuff goes, it's like you know what you need to do. The outside noise is just it's gonna mess you up if anything. So I'd say yeah, listen to yourself, and I would say um, you need to invest in yourself if you want to be serious about it. If you want other people to take you serious, you got to be just dead serious. It's the type of stuff to go all or nothing with. And
I'd like to just tap in on that one because I do believe that, right? Like who was it? I don't know, somebody in my network. He like works with like Timberland and he works with some pretty big names. And he I think he used an analogy with me that was like Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan. You know, these big name, you know, once in a generation athletes. It's like, what is Tiger Woods? He's a golfer. What is Michael Jordan? He's a basketball player, right? Like when you think of being an artist, it's like, are you an artist? Are you a hobbyist? Like that's okay. Like whatever people want to do with their art is up to them, right? But the ones who say they want it the most, are you actually walking the walk? Are you actually doing the things necessary to go out and do whatever you want to do with that music? So, you know, putting like I think it's a great message to invest in yourself, and that could come in a lot of different forms. That could be the time, that could be the effort, that could be the learning, it could be financial, right? But putting that all back into your project and fucking working hard, because the person out there who's doing the same thing you're doing is working their ass off to get where they want to go.
Yeah.
And that's in my opinion a really important message. What wouldn't you do if you were just starting out today?
I wouldn't make music that I thought people wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. Um, I don't know what else I wouldn't do.
That's okay. What was your first concert?
The wouldn't's tough because it's kind of like you need to like fuck up to learn.
Yes.
So you
Fall
like
before you can fly.
yeah, you like actually need to like figure it out on your own. I feel like it's like that with a lot of things. Like, it's gonna
That's
you're gonna
life.
have, yeah, it's like you're gonna have to figure it out on your own. You're gonna have to take those situations and build from them, and that's what's
And I
gonna.
think in the spirit of something like feedback, like I'd rather hear negative and constructive feedback than people just around me saying yes or that's great. Like I've even gone to therapy, and a therapist who I was seeing for a little bit, every time I said something to her, she's like, "Oh, that sounds great," or "That's so good," or whatever. And I'm like, I don't need to sit here and you tell me that everything is great. Like I need you to tell me stuff to work on, you know? And I ended that relationship. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I so desperately want to ask you about something that I know is a big thorn in your side, and you can either agree to talk about it for a minute or not, but you know, your whole view on social media.
Yeah, it's not a thorn in my side. I'm like so grateful for social media because it's how you can get in front of people. But yeah, I just feel like it's gotten to a point where like everyone just making the same video over and over again. It's like we need to get back to the artistry and figure out ways to break through that. It's kind of just like I don't know. It just feels lame to me that what content creating has become, and
Sure.
I feel like creating content and just being like a someone who makes great music, it's tough because you got to play the game to a certain extent, but
Mm-hmm.
you also can't let the game play you.
Yeah.
So you gotta. It's harder and harder these days. It's a fine line to walk, but I'm walking it right now.
Yeah. Have you found any keys to success for your own brand? You know, finding a balance between like, you know, content. So many artists complain about content, making content, blah, blah, blah. But of course, it's a tool. So have you found that balance between,
It's tough
you know, how
because
to connect?
I like
So,
to create stuff that like takes time and
yep.
opposed to just like that the stuff super quick stuff that's just like for people are scrolling so quick and they digest stuff so much more quickly these days that it's tough. Like there's an argument for both sides, but I feel like at the end of the day I'm going to always just put like my art first,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll always like stand on that, even if it's like there's people that don't think it's the best decision because I should be promoting a different way. It's like I don't know, I got to where I am right now, which is like full team behind me, money behind me, people working with me, the whole thing, just like a well-oiled machine right now. And I got to that point by just standing on my art and not straying and not doing the whole thing. So yeah, I love social media because I love creating videos and I
Mm-hmm.
love creating music and I love sharing it with people. So it's great for that. But yeah, it's also I need to get off my fucking phone in general too. Just like everybody watching this probably does, but it's disease. I just scroll on the phone and feel like
Yeah.
that whole world takes away from. Um, like I saw a
It's
thing like Kendrick Lamar like didn't have a cell phone for like 8 months or some shit when he was working on his project. I thought
yeah.
that was so dope. Like I don't even know if I could do that. Like what
Yeah.
the like, that's
They're making I think they're calling them dumb phones now,
I've
where
seen that.
like
It's crazy.
yeah, you can actually get it. Yeah, it's like going back to the flip phone days where it's just like call, text,
Yeah.
no internet, no anything. Fucking Steve Jobs, man, ruined us. But
I figured stuff out
yo,
years
shout out Steve
ago.
Jobs. Pour a little out. Yeah, I am one of those people. You know, we're millennials. It's like we're always on our phone for better or worse. There's no greater feeling to me than completely disconnecting. One of my favorite things about going to Burning Man, for example, is you're off your phone for a week, and now whenever I see people on their phone or posting from social media from Burning Man, I'm like, dude, just get off your phone. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we know Starlink is there, it's fine, but well, that's a great message. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think social media is definitely one of those. It's going to be an ongoing topic. It's going to be one of those necessary evils. It's a great tool, but it can rot our minds. It can really fuck with our emotions too.
It works really good for some people too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you might be a person that you're that social media person, you know what I mean? And it's like, but I've seen people that like also play the game like crazy that aren't that person. And then once they get to a certain point, shut it off, which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, it is a tool at the end of the day.
We're climbing cringe mountain, right? I love that analogy. It's like, you know, you're climbing this mountain to get validation and get to a certain point, and maybe posting content that you wouldn't want to post normally, and then you get to this point, and then you can kind of go down. I think they call it the land of cool after that. So, yeah, some people do it. You know, that's great, man. This has been an awesome conversation. I can't believe an hour's already gone by. I have 2 questions for you. What was your first concert?
First concert. I don't know if I remember, honestly.
Must have been a good time then.
Yeah, I don't know what the first show is. I'm trying to think back. Like,
what was your most recent concert?
Most recent concert was I saw Of Monsters and Men. It's actually a group from Iceland.
Oh shit! Very cool. Hell yeah! My first concert was Audio Slave when I was 16 years old, which was the super group formed by the bandmates of Rage Against the Machine and Chris Cornell, R.I.P. That was phenomenal. And then my last concert was I saw Louis C.K. do stand up on Monday. That's not really a concert, but I've never laughed harder in my life. That man is, say what you will about him, but he's a pro. Okay. And then I think, you know, what I really want from you before we sign off is a couple bars. I mean, can I put you on the spot and you could either recycle something from your old days. You could give us something, maybe a preview of what's coming up on your new album Into the Wild, out soon, by the way. Do we have a release date yet?
No release date yet, but I haven't even really talked about it. This is like the first time I've ever.
Yo, worldwide exclusive. Benny Freestyles, Into the Wild's coming out.
First time I said the name of the project.
Well, it's coming out soon. Safe bet to say this summer, maybe?
Yes, this summer it will be out.
This summer. Very cool. Do you want to give us a couple bars before we part ways?
Let me see. Let me think of something from this project.
Or any project, or just top of the dome.
Let's say the wise ones caught a glimpse. They like, who's this? Smoothness. Dive into the blue to see how blue it gets. I'm on a different timeline. Hold the light that I shine. It's fireflies and sun rays. Family with me Sunday. That gratitude will change my attitude. I'm posted by the river watching water travel through. It's headed to the ocean. Somewhere open. Into the wild when this world feels frozen.
Hell yeah. Let's fucking go, Benny. That's a mic drop right there, man. Thank you so much for that.
It's a little part of the first track. It's called the Gratitude Intro.
The Gratitude Intro, first track, Into the Wild, produced by Big Jerm, out this summer.
Yes, sir.
Benny Freestyles, thank you so much. All the way live from Narragansett, Rhode Island, which for those who haven't been or know about it, it's a beautiful little corner of New England. Summertime's there, ocean, beach, seafood. I'm getting nostalgic now. But thank you so much for being here. I always take a quick little pause to take a screenshot so we can put a nice little photo together. And all you have to do is smile at the camera. We'll do like a 3, 2, 1 thing. 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. I'll take a screenshot of that later. Well, this has been the Racket House Podcast, episode 15. Thank you again to Benny Freestyles. Go check out his music. It is a serious piece of art, and he's doing something unique in this music world. So if you like positive, uplifting messages, if you like reconnecting with nature and spirituality, check out his music, check out his videos. And yeah, we'll be seeing him. We'll be seeing him everywhere very soon. I'll put my money on that one.
I appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Take care. Be easy. Peace.